fall spring, fake spring, late third winter, whatever you call it, wherever you are, I do think that we have a taste of winter returning after what has already been a really warm week. And I think what feels like an early start to spring to many people. Let's take a look at what's ahead as we head into the weekend and as we head into next week. I think there are going to be some big changes. First, across parts of the west, we've got this upper trough swinging through here with cooler temperatures. And then this is setting the stage for the severe weather on Friday. A lot of cold air, though, is starting to build way high up into the Arctic and the high latitudes. And this pattern is going to really start to shift up as we head into the next week or so. Once we get to Saturday into Sunday, look at the cold as it starts to dig. First across Alaska into western Canada. This trough digs in. The cold is back. The snow is back into Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia. It's also starting to turn colder across the northern tier of the United States as well. But you can see where most of the cold air still is early next week. We've also got another player. It's this upper low that's just sitting here off the southwest coast of the U.S., just spinning here. It's not really going anywhere. Eventually, it looks like this is going to try to connect up with one of these troughs that move south. And I'm still of the persuasion that we need to watch this, okay? If these couple of pieces of energy can phase together, do you get some kind of big storm that rides up? I think that's looking less and less likely tonight than maybe it has been, but the overall pattern is definitely starting to turn colder as we approach the 14th and the 15th. And look at this, guys. I mean, now you're really developing a big ridge out west, and you talk about fall spring out west. I don't know. It's going to feel like spring is on here. And now we've got winter returning to the Great Lakes all the way into the southeast. At least temperatures will be on the way down. A couple of teleconnections that I was looking at earlier, the WPA, super negative. I mean, this advertises the cold that's going to be moving into Canada. But for my meteorological friends, if you like to study weather, this is something you look at too in the east. The North Atlantic Oscillation, strongly positive. So how in the world are we going to turn cold? Well, you're going to stretch this polar vortex. You've still got the lower heights across Greenland, and this is putting it pretty cold down here into the east. And I would tell you, with a strongly negative WPO, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but you've got all the cold building here into the west. You've also got a lot of quick motion here into the North Atlantic. Things are moving along pretty quickly, and all it takes is one of these storms to dig, and you're going to start to pull some of that cold air south, which is what the European is really starting to show here too. Another thing to keep in mind with the seasonal change, it is getting pretty warm on the southern side of wherever this trough is going to be. So these huge thermal gradients are going to start to drive a really strong jet stream, and that could, again, spin up some big storms and tap in to some of the cold and maybe some of those notorious cold spells that March is known for. So, do I believe this is fall spring? I do for many of you. I don't think this is the end of winter completely. I think we have another round to go. And if you look at the long-range European weeklies, they're also advertising that colder weather moving back into the central, mostly the northern and eastern United States, where it's been cold anyway, and the ridge is back across the west. Does this not look familiar, my friends? It's kind of what we've seen pretty much all winter. We start to shift that up a little bit, bringing that ridge a little further to the east on the European weeklies by the time we get toward the 19th and the 20th. And if you look at the temperature departures from average, they pretty much fall in line with what the long range is showing here. With the warmth in the east, you start to bring that cold south. These are temperature departures from average during a 7-day period. So from the 23rd, go back 7 days, a lot of below average showing up, but warm across the west. So this, in effect, really shuts the severe weather down, which is good news, but we do have quite a bit on the way, in the next couple of days. And here's the deal. As we head into April, you want to look really far out? My 2 cents, it's going to be cold in the east. I think you got to watch some more chilly air moving into the west. We are definitely moving into spring, but this might be good. Hopefully it limits some of the severe weather risk, which unfortunately we are seeing this tomorrow. Look at the Storm Prediction Center, an enhanced area across parts of Oklahoma and to Kansas, even into Missouri. Strong damaging winds, tornadoes possible. The likeliest area would be here across parts of Oklahoma and to parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri as we head into the afternoon and evening. And yeah, the snow is going to pile up into the west over the coming days too, especially into the high elevations of Colorado. Somebody here sees more than a foot of snow. Some heavier snow too up into Idaho, Montana, and then further north into parts of British Columbia. As the cold starts to move in, I'm going to really widen this out. You know what? I'm going to take a different view here. We don't take this view very much up across Western Canada, but I do want to show you how these snowfall amounts really start to pick up, and this is going to start to change again as we head into the upcoming week, and you bring the cold air in, and look, guys, more snow on the way. These mountains here into British Columbia And along the Continental Divide, a lot of snow, I think, is still on the way over the next week or so across this part of the country. All right, we've talked about the indexes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next couple of days. We've got severe weather, which we talked about behind this low, which will be riding north and east, some cold air. So we go from rain to snow for places like Denver, north up into parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, and then out ahead of this, beautiful weather. Southwest flow, temperatures warming up. I'm going to tell you, though, I'm reluctant to tell you it's going to get really warm in the northeast as this cold air, really shallow cold air, holds tight. So with the next system, we could see some freezing rain. If you're going to see that, you know it's not going to get really warm. The severe weather starts to shift to the east, though, as we head into Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. The Storm Prediction Center also watching this time frame as well as we look at the day 3 outlook. You can see how this now pushes from really Toronto, the severe risk anyway, maybe a little bit further north than that. It really starts to pick up here into parts of western PA, parts of Ohio, West Virginia, and that stretches all the way down into Texas with a higher risk area also along the Texas Gulf Coast. And then as far east, possibly as North Carolina and Georgia. All right, let's go back to the map. We'll continue to push this ahead in time. We got a shot of cold air moving at least into parts of the Great Lakes, into Ontario. Temperatures on the way down. A weak clipper system will bring some light snow. It'll first move across the prairie, so Winnipeg, maybe some light snow. That moves into Ontario. Further to the south, a few showers as our front washes out. This isn't going to make a lot of headway, so this could keep the rain around the south heading into Sunday, and our front just sort of stalls here. And here's the deal. A lot of fast winds aloft moving from the west. Big temperature differences. It's cold up here, and think of how warm it's been across the states. So with all the warm air, a very strong jet swinging these systems through pretty quick. Another fast mover could bring a stripe of snow Tuesday into Wednesday across the U.S.-Canadian border. Too warm for snow to the south. And now we're looking at the potential, hey, is there more severe weather next week? I think it's possible, especially as we drop in some colder air Wednesday and Thursday. Now we're looking out over a week, so take this with a grain of salt. Let's shop for something here. Look how the European starts to pick up on the idea of that colder air further south with areas of low pressure developing along it. Here's the deal. With huge temperature differences, it would not shock me to see these areas of low pressure spin up, and they can dump some snow too if they get going. And look, the European is sniffing this idea out. That's why I'm telling you, you may not see the snow in your backyard, but I think you definitely shop for a storm during this time period. If you're new to the channel, I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist. I worked in TV. I studied meteorology at Mississippi State. So if you're looking for a weather source here on YouTube, I hope you'll consider coming back. And the OGs, thanks for subscribing. Let's look at the snow over the next week or so across parts of the northern tier of the U.S., the northern Rockies. We've talked about the far west, but yes, some snow possible here into the prairies. You can see this on the GFS through next Friday. Further to the east, very snowless, other than a little bit of snow we're seeing now, maybe some ice across northern New England. But watch the next couple of weeks. This may be changing, and this may end up being further to the south. Let's enjoy the warmth while we have it. Okay, I want to show you the 70s and 80s. Look how far north it is warm. Words are hard tonight. Cold in the northeast. We've got 30s and 20s, and that sets the stage for the ice we're going to see in northern New England into Maine heading into Saturday. The warmth spreads north, though. We've got 60s all the way to Toronto, up to Buffalo. 70s, we may push 80 into D.C. and Baltimore. Here comes the front, though. We start to cool down. This isn't the cold, though, guys. This is just going to reinforce some of the cold into the northeast. It'll bring temperatures back down, but a strong March sun warms you up pretty quickly, right? But let's move this ahead in time. The 11th and the 12th, I think this would be your more significant cold. The afternoon European tries to show that, so we're pushing the chilly air back to the south. It's March. How cold could it possibly get? But for March standards, I mean, you're starting to see a little more cold air around the south. Yeah, it's going to be warm. You may get a cool push for here and there, but the European has been really aggressive with some pretty cold air showing up around the middle of the month. So more to come on that. Here's a look at your temperatures further to the west. Again, a lot of warm air out ahead of our system. That's going to help keep the threat for thunderstorms around tonight into tomorrow, Friday. A big dividing line, and that's going to set the stage again for those severe thunderstorms. Really, as far north, I mean, pretty far north too, up into maybe Wisconsin. I'll go back to the Storm Prediction Center's outlook, and you can kind of see where they're pushing that severe weather risk. I mean, yeah, up into Wisconsin, even southern Wisconsin is now in a 2 out of 5 risk of seeing those severe thunderstorms, and you can kind of see why we push that warm air, 60s up here, close to 70 along the border, and then cooler weather on the way as we head into Saturday. Further to the west, I mean, kind of cold in the mountains, cooler anyway. Temperatures a little bit chillier than they've been, but across the Northwest. Overall, though, we're going to start to warm up, especially as we head into Saturday. Eastern Washington and Oregon pushing 70 here. Downwind of the mountains, we warm up too, from Calgary all the way down to Denver. On that, with that downwind flow. Again, remember the winds aloft are moving pretty quickly out of the west. That strong jet stream setting up, the cold air to the north, relatively warm air to the south, as we see probably what will be, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it, an early end to the ski season across the west, unless we get some kind of big storm coming out here, which I don't know that that's going to happen. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, hit the like button. Doesn't cost you a thing to watch the video. It's free $99. You want to support what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.